Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara. This is Barbara Talks Some More. So be sure to subscribe to this channel, okay? Over here I go over public figure natal chart readings, okay? And whatever else comes through to talk about, but so far it's been just that. I have my original channel called Barbara Talks, okay? So I talk over there and over here I talk some more. So be sure to check out both and to subscribe to both channels. My original channel is all about astrology, metaphysics, same thing, you know, if any sort of topic comes through to mention or talk about, I talk about over there as well. And also I like to go live over there, so I always like to chat with you guys and connect with you guys as well. So over here I do public figure natal chart readings. I'm not as active, okay, and sometimes, you know, the list might seem random. It's usually, you know, someone who I have either hooked into energetically, okay, so, you know, maybe I heard about them, maybe I heard a song, maybe they piqued my interest, maybe I'm heavily picking up on their energy. With that being said, you know, I'm not channeling people over here on this channel. I just look at the energy around the individual and basically whatever I pick up on. So today I wanted to look at Britney Renner and her energy. I've been hooking into her energy a lot. I know about her like peripherally, okay? You know, for a lot of these people, it's either like, you know, they've been popping up on my feed and then, you know, they either pique my interest or, you know, I start seeing more and more videos about them, okay? And with her, it's really interesting, okay? Because she has, you know, over the years, okay, maybe in like the last, let's say like 2 to 3, maybe even 4 years now, honestly, the time goes by so fast. But over the recent period of time, okay, she would, you know, sporadically pop up on my feed. So I know of her because, you know, the manosphere and the red pill people are obsessed with her, okay? It's kind of like, I think, unhealthy at this point, but they're obsessed with her, okay? Because the whole backstory with Britney Renner, for those of you who don't know, which by the way, you guys, everything that I mentioned over here is alleged, okay? It's for educational purposes only. You know, if I talk about a certain aspect here, okay, it doesn't always have to mean that it's going to manifest and play out that way in your own natal chart, okay? You have to look at the whole natal chart. And also at the same time, I do hook into the individual's energy. Sometimes I'm hooking into it first, actually, okay, before I even find the energy in the natal chart itself, okay? So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. With that being said, okay, let's say you have similar energies in your own natal chart, okay? Also, I wanted to mention, if you guys would like your own natal chart reading, synastry reading, progress natal chart reading, mini natal chart reading, mini synastry reading, okay? The information for all of that is going to be in the description box below. You guys can go on my website. You guys can select the readings tab, okay? So when you select the readings tab, an email window should pop up. You guys send me an email and then we will go from there, okay? All of my readings are very similar, okay, to the format that I do over here, okay? These readings here are more closely connected to my mini natal chart or mini synastry readings, okay, where I kind of pick up on, okay, you know, what I am seeing here at first glance, okay? Or it could be, you know, maybe something you want to know about, right? So that's kind of how I do my mini readings, okay? And the in-depth readings, I go over absolutely everything, the whole chart, okay? And the way that I do it, honestly, for me is the flow, okay? One thing connects me to the next. Like I mentioned, I'm hooking into the energy. I'm feeling it. I'm looking for it in the chart. I'm like, okay, what is this? What I'm picking up on? And with that being said, okay, you know, I know some people are hardcore about the aspects. They look at very tight orbs. I open up to 10 degrees. Sometimes if I'm feeling it in the chart, I will open it up to 15 degrees, okay? I know, again, traditionally that's not, you know, how some people might do it, but again, I'm feeling it before usually I am looking at the chart, and then I'm looking actually for that energy in the chart. And another one of my disclaimers that I always like to put in these videos as well is I'm also not a psychologist, you guys, okay? So again, you know, I am interested in a lot of these topics, okay, but I'm not a psychologist at all. But because I know a lot about the psychology world, just because it does interest me, I may use terms here and there, okay? So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into Britney Renner's birth chart reading here. So I gave you guys a little bit of the backstory, okay? The manosphere is obsessed with her. I think they're unhealthily obsessed with her, okay? Because basically with her, the storyline goes like this. And again, you know, I could be paraphrasing here. And if you're interested, I mean, you know, if you guys want to do your own research, always do your own research as well, okay? But Britney Renner, apparently when she was younger, okay, she was very attractive, right? And, you know, she was kind of like, you know, the person that was like the it person during that period of time. Now, what's interesting to me is something that I recently found out about it. Again, you guys can definitely fact check and cross check this, but I just recently saw a video, okay? So again, like I mentioned, when I find out about these people and like I get curious, you know, I started seeing all these videos and, you know, listening to people's thoughts and opinions. But basically one of the videos that I saw, the person was saying that Britney actually dropped out of her college, I believe it was, okay? She had like a scholarship or something of that sort, okay, to go date somebody, okay? So she already has this pattern, okay, of male-centeredness. So this is something that's been going on for some time, okay? So there's that. And then also the other thing with her, why the manosphere is like obsessed with talking about her is, you know how they can all be over there, okay, in that community, you know, they have a lot to say, usually very negative things. You know, with Britney, I mean, she's definitely been around the block. I mean, you know, it's not something that she hides. She, you know, kind of tried to wear it with pride is really what it is. You know, as far as I know, also she wrote a book about it, right? Trying to teach people, or women rather, okay, how to get involved with these wealthy and rich men, okay? And what happens as soon as a woman does something or says something? Of course, there's going to be some man, okay, or demon. Let's just say demon operating through the man, okay, coming through to try to humble her, quote unquote, humble her, okay? So that's the struggle with her. And again, she's dated a lot of these, well-known people. Again, they're saying she wrote a book about it. She has a kid, okay, and the kid that she has is with PJ Washington. The kid is 5 years old. Now, PJ, okay, what's interesting with this part of the story is he, okay, is actually younger than her. So he's 1998 and she is 1992. So she's technically 6 years older than him. So her birth information is February 26, 1992. I have her here as Jackson, okay, in the United States. We don't have a time of birth for her. I saw some people online saying different things. Some people were saying she's a Leo rising. She's way too mutable for me to have a fixed rising sign. She could be a Leo rising. I mean, looking for attention and all these things. But honestly, with her, when I would hear her speak and she'd pop up on my feed, I'm like, this girl's got Gemini going on in her chart, okay? Because, okay, so she was with PJ Washington. I'm not going to go through her whole dating history. So she was with PJ Washington, right? So she had a kid with PJ Washington. And here's the thing, okay? Here is the thing. So they were not married when she had the kid. And also he was very young, okay? So again, he was 23, okay, when she was pregnant. They didn't get married. And here is the thing, right? I'm not saying you have to get married to have a kid. And at this point, I'm guessing that it's mainly ladies that are listening or tuning into this, okay? Maybe a few gents too who could be curious. But at the end of the day, like, men are men, right? So they have their own perspective and perceptions on things, right? In terms of being very, let's say, outdated, I guess you can say. Maybe not advanced. Some of them, okay? Some of them. So a lot of them, the way that they think is, if you were willing to get pregnant and you weren't married, right, in their minds they see this as something they should respect. I'm not saying this is how it should be. This is just the way that a lot of them think. So again, you really need to learn the game, okay, is really what it is, and how to play it. I would say that that was her first error, okay, in this whole story. Her second error in this whole story, okay, and these are just my own opinions, right, just again based off of the information and things that, again, I have heard, right, either her say, right, or other people say too about her. The second issue here, I would say, or error, I would say rather, that she made is being very open about all the people that she slept with. If we look at the society, right, like, the society hasn't progressed that far, right? So again, you have all these men talking poorly about her, right? Like, they're just kind of showing their true colors. All these men on these podcasts, like, that's actually how they think. Obviously it's not all of them, but a lot of them. So again, they talk very poorly about her. They talk very poorly about her promiscuous past, all these things, right? Even though, again, she tried to like wear it with like pride and all these things. Now, what's interesting with her energy too is she's got the sun in Pisces, moon in Sag. I do think she's got a mutable rising sign. To me, I feel like she could be a Gemini rising, or again, maybe Virgo rising. Like, I could see that playing out as well. I don't really think she's a Leo rising. I mean, I could see it play out, like, in terms of her wanting the attention and like all these things, but she's very mutable, because to me, it's like she's always like molding, right? She's always molding to fit her partner. Like, the whole reason she's been kind of like brought, back into the limelight recently is she's been talking poorly about PJ Washington, saying that like he's not present for the kid or something of that sort, which again, what I heard through the grapevine was like he is sending like $5,000 a month in child support, okay? So there's that. And then she also mentioned that she went back home to Mississippi to rebuild financially or something of that sort. Like, honestly, I really don't want to say this in a negative sense, but like, to me, this is someone who really wasted their potential. Honestly, like, again, dropped out of school for a man, chased all these wealthy men around, right? And I do think she tried to monetize it, but at the end of the day, it's the patriarchy. Like, we need to be very realistic here, okay? And the program is the way that it is. And again, I think some people try to be vocal about these things and in hopes of, progressing the society forward, right? But at the end of the day, it just is what it is. So she's getting a lot of backlash, right? She gets a lot of backlash online. She gets a lot of backlash from these men, right? One guy who keeps popping up on my feed, okay, who's like obsessed with talking about her. Okay, I'm not really going to mention his name here. Some of you who are maybe involved in these stories, you're going to know who it is. And it is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, everybody makes mistakes, right? It's not about not making mistakes, but sometimes, it's better to learn vicariously through other people so other people don't make the mistakes that they did, right? Which is the whole point of these videos, right? That's kind of what's going on here. So she's born on the 26th of February, 1992. I find it interesting. She's born on an 8-day number, okay? 8-day number, literally someone who's here to master money, okay? I do think that maybe her trying to master money was trying to go, the wealthy man route, right? But here's the thing, okay? I think her whole issue, allegedly, gotta say allegedly, like every 5 seconds, right? Because these are just my own opinions. with these individuals. I think her whole issue with PJ Washington is that he ended up marrying that new girl. He ended up marrying the new girl, okay, Eliza, okay, he married her. And I think like what kind of stings her is the fact that them two were never married. I actually think that that's like the like wound here, or like the stinging point. Like I know some people think that she's jealous of Eliza, but here's the thing, like she left PJ, right? Because he was, you know, not faithful to her, which, you know, it's true. I saw that in one of her clips too. She says she always left these men, okay, when they were doing her wrong, which is like good for her. But also, you know, here's the thing, okay, I find that again, at the end of the day, like women are still in a vulnerable position, right? So, you know, I know that a lot of people are trying to maybe build platforms and like do all these things. I think personally, like if you ask me, I think she should get a PR person, and I think she either needs to get like a business person or someone of that sort to like help her with all of this, because it's like she had the platform, yes, okay, but like when she was at her peak, like everybody knowing her, right? Like that vibe, okay, when that was going on, like she should have transformed that into monetization. Instead, you know, again, she was chasing these men, right? Kind of using that as, you know, the financial basis of things. And a man is not a plan. That's why I think a lot of things out there in social media right now are very dangerous, okay, where a lot of these women are trying to talk about, you know, chasing all these wealthy men. Because here is the thing too, okay, everyone needs to be realistic. Like if you're chasing these wealthy men, especially like these people, athletes, right, especially people even who are in the public eye, like I'm not condoning cheating, and I'm not saying they should cheat, but a lot of these people, especially these types of men, right, like who work so hard to get the wealth, like they're doing that so they can quote unquote do whatever they want. You know what I mean? Like that's just like their perception on things, right? So a lot of them are going to be looking for multiples. Then she fell into this dynamic with Kevin Gates, which psychically I was picking up on, okay, this more so psychically, just my own opinion again, like he came through to finish her energetically, quote unquote, right? Because now when she popped up on my feed, I couldn't believe that was her. I was like, okay, this girl like has been energetically drained. I feel like she's got a succubus attached to her, or incubus, like whichever like sex demon it is, like she's got some kind of sex demon attached to her, probably transferred from one of these people. But like Kevin Gates, I think, was like the final energetic nail in the coffin, like the final dark energy, because this man has got a very dark energy. PJ doesn't. To me, PJ has actually like a very endearing energy, okay, like more so on the charming side of things. But here's the thing, what I found interesting too, because I have all their charts pulled up here. I'm not going to be looking at like in-depth synastry here or anything of that sort, mainly like focusing on Brittany's energy here. But of course, I got to see what's going on with everybody, right? Okay, this was interesting. And Brittany's chart got Venus conjunct Saturn. This is very interesting because usually this is someone who struggles with self-worth, okay? This is a big, huge indicator because it's Saturn. They could spend the earlier part of their life, like, you know, looking for their self-worth, building up their self-worth, and like all of these things. And she got all the mutable energy too. Sun in Pisces, Moon in Sag. Mercury is in Pisces as well, okay? The mutable energy, again, like I mentioned, you know, switching the personalities, changing, molding, that's absolutely there, okay? But what I find interesting with her is she's got Sun in Pisces. Sun in Pisces, you know, sometimes Sun in the 12th, Sun Neptune aspects. There's always something going on here where like there is an absence of a father figure. It's like the masculine energy basically isn't strong in the individual and the individual's life, right? You know, the father could have been there, he could have been checked out, he could have been, you know, doing his own thing, like however it manifests, right? So then basically that person doesn't have like a strong, solid personality is really what it is. And especially because it's mutable, okay? Pisces energy, right? So these people are always going to be looking to create their identity, right? Especially Sun and Pisces. Because again, you know, the identity here is blurred. We don't have our houses, right? We don't have her time of birth. I'm not going to pull up the Leo rising here, okay? Just because I saw that like in passing somewhere. So we're just going to look at it, you know, without the rising sign, without the houses. So Sun and Pisces not having a strong, you know, personality, not having a strong sense of self, you know, absence of the father figure, absence of masculine energy in general in your life, not having a backbone is Pisces energy. It's a spiritual energy. So usually this person's, you know, purpose is more spiritual rather than grounded. So they're always up in the clouds. Now paired with Moon and Sag, right? And it's interesting to me because then, you know, when she met Kevin Gates, okay, she then became Muslim for him, okay? So here's that whole theme of always like molding for the men around her, okay? So it's really interesting because it's like, it's literally in her chart to not have strong masculine energy within herself overall, right? Regardless of whatever happened with the father figure in her life, okay? Maybe there's information out there about him, I'm not sure. I didn't dig that deep, okay? But that's the thing with the Sun in Pisces, okay? No backbone is the biggest thing here. And again, being very malleable, okay? What I found interesting is Sun is in Pisces and Moon is in Sag. Both energies here, if we look at, you know, the traditional rulers ruled by Jupiter. So both energies here are looking for some sort of like spiritual meaning, religion, belief system, which is why she was literally Muslim for like 13 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, I think she said she was Muslim for like 10 months and I think she was married to Kevin Gates for a very brief period of time, which I'm not sure what happened there, okay? But every time I see this man, I see a picture picture of him, he just gives me very dark energy. Not to mention, like, in his chart, he's got a bunch of Aquarius, like a Sun in Aquarius, Mercury, Venus in Aquarius, which she's got Venus in Aquarius too, okay? But here, like, if we were to look at this in terms of synastry, like, again, this would be like a little bit more than 10 degrees, okay, of an orb. And then he's got that Mars in Sag. And with him, we don't know his time of birth either, because he could either be a moon in Sag or a moon in Capricorn. Just based off of his vibe, just because it's like very sturdy energetically, I feel like he'll be more so in the Capricorn energy, or again, maybe his rising sign would be something of an earth sign, right? Because he's very just like, again, like earth vibes, right? Like very like there. Almost like a presence energetically is really what it is. But here's the difference with him, okay? So he is following Islam, right? Where they can have multiple wives. And again, something I heard through the grapevine that he had another girl and Brittany got together with him. So she was like the second wife. And that's the thing in Islam too. Like they can't date, right? So they have to get married. So like that's why, you know, their quote unquote marriage was so short. But it's just like she, like, quote unquote, converted for him. You know, she started to change her full blown appearance for him. And that's like when she started popping up on my feet again, was when she was like, okay, now I've like converted over to this religion. So many people again were saying it's because of a man, which they ended up being right. Okay, it was because of him. But what I find so interesting between PJ and then Kevin, it's like PJ like maybe cheated on her, right? And maybe it was like secretive and like hidden. And then she like ends up in the situation with this Kevin guy, and it's like he's openly poly, Mars and Sag is poly, that he just found a religion to fit his belief system. So there's that. And then it's just like, then she ended up being like the second wife, which is really interesting to me when people end up in these situations. Again, just as an observer, it's just something that I noticed. So someone who got cheated on, and then they end up basically being the side or like the second person, because I'm reading here now, Kevin Gates was legally married to one person, and then the quote unquote second marriage was more so under the Islamic custom rather than like a legal, you know, second civil marriage. So he was married, okay, to another person. I'm not sure what the situation is now, but he was married. So technically Brittany comes through as like the second person or the side person or whatever is going on. And it's just like really interesting to me, because it's just like, I feel like when people end up in those situations, they're like subconsciously trying to be like picked over the first person, but at the same time they're trying to like heal the mood of somebody else being picked over them. It's very interesting. It's a little bit more complex. Like I mentioned, I'm not a psychologist, just like my observations on like human behavior. So I just find it interesting, because it's like, did you not leave PJ like for this whole reason, and then you end up being like the second person or like the side person? This is why like people need to be very careful with what they say, not speak in absolutes. This is what I always say over here, okay? And in general, like, it's important to not speak in extreme absolutes, because when you speak in extreme absolutes and there's somebody that can hear what you're saying, like, you know, this is your opinion on this, that's your opinion on that, you would never do this, you would do this, you believe in this, you don't believe in this. When you speak in those extremes, like, it's either the universe or, again, it comes through another person, right? Coming through to see how quickly you will basically change your mind or change your opinion. So honestly, like, I hate to say this, but I do feel like Kevin was kind of coming through to humble her, and just like, I just keep picking up on the term energetically finish her off. Like, I just feel like he just like really energetically drained her, okay? Or just like threw her over the edge. I'm curious to know like what's going on with her financial situation. Like, this is giving like some kind of like Lilith, like dark energy. I need to see what's going on with Lilith now. It's giving some Lilith dark energy. And of course, here it is. Look at this. She's got Lilith in Aquarius. This is interesting to me. So she's got Lilith in Aquarius, okay? And even I'm looking at PJ Washington. He's got Lilith in Libra. He's actually got Uranus also in Aquarius at the 9th house. So his Uranus would have exactly been conjuncting her Venus. I'm curious to know if she was a side chick to PJ Washington. Like, I'm curious to know about that. Actually, let me Google that. Just looked it up. It says that she wasn't, but there's something going on here. As soon as I see this Venus to Uranus, and it's literally, you guys, it's literally almost exact, okay? It's so close. It's literally 2 minutes separated. So the relationship could have started while he was with somebody else. Like, here it says that, you know, their relationship, like PJ and Brittany, was like public, blah, blah, blah. But I wouldn't be surprised she got involved with him while he had somebody else, or something that wasn't finished just yet, okay? So that's really interesting to me. Look at this. Her Lilith is in Aquarius 4 degrees, and then I'm looking at Kevin Gates' chart now. His Venus is in Aquarius. It's at 20 degrees, okay? So this is wider. This is definitely wider of an orb here, okay, to be fully conjunct, but it's standing out to me. So again, you know, this definitely was, again, even with them too, okay, some sort of side chick, side dude, like all of this, right? I mean, it's pretty much open if she was like the second wife, right? But that's the thing. And you know what's interesting? In her own chart, her Lilith is literally conjuncting Venus. Okay, it's literally conjuncting Venus, and it's conjuncting Mars. Okay, this is pretty destructive, I will say, when it comes to relationships. Okay, I do feel like as time goes on, she will like energetically grow out of this. Like, I can see in her chart also, like, she's got power struggles going on with men as well. Sun, if it's, again, these are wider orbs here, okay, but I'm feeling it, like I mentioned to you guys. You got Sun trine the Pluto, Venus and Mars square the Pluto as well. This is intense, okay, especially Mars square Pluto. That is definitely intense. And look, in her relationship with Kevin Gates, Mars square Pluto is taking place here, which sometimes again could be an indicator of an affair. Okay, even Venus, okay, Venus is squaring Pluto as well. Again, Venus square Pluto can also be an indicator of an affair, especially the square here. Okay, but Mars square Pluto, especially when it comes through in like these, like, again, you know, heterosexual relationships where it's like sexually involved, it can be intense. It can definitely be intense, right? Because again, the pull is strong, it's Plutonian, right? And it's interesting to me because, you know, even in the relationship here with PJ, right? PJ's definitely got a way lighter energy going on here, okay? I see like the Leo going on in his chart, like Mercury, Venus, and Mars. I can see why he's a good athlete, okay? There's that Virgo energy. I don't know too much about his like athletic history, okay? So it's interesting that that came through. I'm not sure if he's like a main player or like a side player or whatever, right? But anyways, Virgo tends to be very good at whatever they pick to do, and I find Virgo paired with fire signs. Usually I've noticed it with Virgo and Sag, but he's got the Leo going on as well, okay? So, you know, Virgo paired with a fire, it's like, again, athletic. The fire is pushing the person towards some form of athleticism, right? And then the Virgo is like perfecting it, is really, really what it is. Depends what time she was born, okay? Because her moon, again, this would be a little bit wider of an orb again, but her moon would be conjunct Pluto. So I could see like where the quote unquote obsession comes to, or like the perceived obsession. Like I think people think that she's like obsessed with PJ. I just think that whether she's aware of it or not, like she just feels quote unquote powerless, or like her power got taken away, right? Because again, she had the kid, nothing ended up coming out of that. You know, again, there's some story floating around where she thought that if she left him, that again, he'd like go running after her. But like she's got the Mars in Aquarius, even Venus in Aquarius, like the Mars and Aquarius, I find within individuals, these people are challenging in relationships, I find, right? Because the personality can be so strong. I find Aquarius to be very, very stubborn. I was actually thinking about this recently. I feel like Aquarius is more stubborn than the rest of the signs, in my own opinion. Okay, this is just my own opinion, you guys. Okay. I find Aquarius is very, very stubborn of an energy. It's fixed, okay, and it deals with like belief systems and like ideologies. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the higher minded things. So I just find it manifests that way within individuals. And then Kevin's got a bunch of Aquarius going on in his chart. Like I can see where the attraction came from, but I can also see like why it didn't last. I mean, you know, again, good for her for leaving him, coming into her power again, you know, maybe finding a new religion, whatever. That's very like Pisces sun, Sag moon, right? Again, any Sagittarius energy even has sun opposing Jupiter. I'm very curious to know what happened with the dad. Where is he in this whole story? Because it just gives the energy of he's always away somewhere or traveling, or maybe he was traveling for work, like not as present energetic. Maybe he was super religious actually with these energies too. That's the thing with like Jupiter energy in a chart, like Jupiter aspecting the personal placements, or you know, the Sag energy in her case, the moon and Sag, like these people basically are here to create their own belief system is really what it is. And it's mutable, right? So that's why she's like not committed to anything, because like Sag energies kind of take like whatever they like sometimes out of every religion, sometimes create like this whole new belief system for themselves. What I did want to say in her chart is the biggest challenge for her, from what I'm seeing here at first glance, is this Lilith aspecting the Venus, Lilith aspecting the Mars, okay? It's this Lilith, okay, aspecting the Venus specifically, but it could be the Mars because it deals with the sexuality, okay, that brings through this like quote unquote taboo or dark sexuality. In her case, it's manifesting as side chick energy. Already Venus in Aquarius is like quote unquote alternative relationships or unconventional relationships, which is probably how she ended up in all these situations. But I feel like for her, it's the Lilith that like quote unquote damages the relationships that she is in, okay, is really what it is. Because she's got Venus conjunct Saturn and Mars conjunct Saturn, I do feel like this is something that she eventually quote unquote outgrows, or you know, gets over or moves on from, okay, is really what it is. I feel like again after age 35, 36, which she's approaching anyways, right, when Saturn quote unquote matures, it'll help her ground all of this, and I feel like she will clear out the Lilith. I mean, if she so chooses to, right? Because it depends on the person, you know what I mean? They have to be willing, okay, to work on themselves, okay? But I think the hardest situation for her in all of this, I feel it in my solar plexus, is the power struggles with men, because her Mars is in Aquarius, okay? And again, you know, it's a little bit further out here to fully be squaring her Mars in her chart, but you know, again, people within her age range, okay, people that she probably dates, usually if it's millennials, okay, Pluto and Scorpio, she will always deal with power struggles with these men because it's going to create the square, right? It's going to hit that Mars, right? But in general, because it's in her chart, it's also going to show you what kind of men that she might be attracted to or pulling through energetically. And I feel that, like I feel this energy when I hook it to her chart of just like power struggles with men, okay? So basically, okay, what to learn from Britney Renner and her situation: don't air out your business to everybody, okay? It's better to move quietly and silently. Probably best to get like a PR person or somebody of that sort, someone who can kind of help her, like a business mentor or someone of that sort, okay? Someone who can kind of help her turn her business around, okay? Because there are like monetization opportunities here. I just feel like she's constantly damaging her own reputation by talking about all these people, because it's giving the manosphere even more fuel. Because again, to me, they're unhealthily obsessed with her, and I feel like probably a lot of them are, again, Pluto and Scorpio millennials, which hit her Mars. It's men, right? It's mainly the men, okay, who are like obsessed with talking about her. I'm not sure if I mentioned at the beginning of this reading, Pisces is the most promiscuous sign, you guys, okay? They are the most promiscuous sign. This is from my own findings, okay? I know everyone thinks it's Scorpio. It could be Sag, like Sag could be, you know, up there too, right? Because again, Sag loves the variety. But again, if I had to pick one sign that's the quote unquote most promiscuous, that's Pisces. It's interesting because Pisces deals with unconditional love, right? Which it's like, I guess they, you know, want to love everybody through these means. One more thing that I find interesting in her chart that I'm looking for, okay, I'm just looking at her Venus now and I'm like looking to see, because a lot of people were talking about how she's trying to find love through these men, or like trying to find like a one true love story or whatever it is, and like quote unquote delusions and so on and so forth. Like I don't see that in her chart, unless of course, right, you know, the houses end up aligning that. Maybe she got, you know, Venus in the 12th, for example, or Mars in the 12th. Like, I mean, it could be that, right? Like, let's say she is a Pisces rising, another mutable rising sign. That could be very likely, okay? Maybe it'll put her sun in the first, but maybe let's say the Venus and the Mars will go into the 12th, right? So relationships, like, you know, with the Venus past life relationships coming through as enemies, Mars is like past life enemies coming through men, right? I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, okay? Saturn and the 12th, let's say it ends up aligning that way too if she is a Pisces rising. Saturn and the 12th, authority, authoritative figures. I'm even seeing her Chiron is in Leo, okay? This again could be a wound, sometimes around self-worth. They need a lot of validation, you know, fear of rejection. Absolutely, that could be there. But look, Chiron opposes her Lilith, opposes her Venus, opposes her Mars. So the wound here is also in the relationship. Like I just feel like it's this like toxic loop that she is in. And that's the other thing with her too. Her situation, she probably like detox from all relationships, like take some time to just like work on herself and come back with like a rebrand. Psychically for her, like let's say she were to take like the PR route. I'm not a PR person, by the way, just like kind of what I'm picking up on. Like let's say, you know, she were to hire someone to help her clean up her image, her reputation, you know, stop, you know, giving these like, again, manosphere people, you know, content to talk about. Honestly, like in her case, it would probably be best to stop talking about all relationships, completely rebrand. Like she could literally go down the route, like I'm seeing psychically, okay, for her doing something like fitness. I'm seeing someone like in a white kitchen, like I'm even seeing like those like vitamin gummies, like something in like the health, nutrition route, like fitness, like all these things. Maybe try to, you know, turn the situation around into a positive. And also, honestly, if she was a Pisces rising, I could see that too, because I can see why all these people are so obsessed with her. Like that's like the Pisces energy they project onto her, you know, doing well while on a screen, like all these things. So that's kind of what I'm picking up on here at first glance for Britney Renner. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed my reading on her. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe. If you guys would like your own reading, you guys can always send me an email. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.